Good evening, everybody. Matt Geary here for the Geek Pridecast on this Sunday evening, slightly earlier than we usually are. So we're super prepared for tonight. No guest, unfortunately. 2021 has not been a high for new guests, but hopefully we'll have some interesting guests for you in the coming year. But with me, as always, we have Mark Canty.
Evening.
And Jonjo Cosgrove.
Hello, all you good people.
So, Jonjo, first up, you've got yourself a new podcast. Tell us what it is and what it's all about.
I will say, have you had a chance to listen to it yet, Matt?
I've subscribed to it, and I listened to like the first sort of like a couple of minutes and stuff. I know Orvis is on it, so. How did you manage to get Orvis on it? You know. I've been trying to get him back on the Geek Pridecast for ages, but he's...
Do you know what it is? It's because I've wanted to redo a podcast myself for such a long time. And the thing is so many people have the same idea over and over. And one thing I noticed, one thing a lot of people like to do is a lot of people like to have a rant. A lot of people like to have a moan. But it's trying to find the comedy in it. It's trying to find something to laugh about, even though, you know, situations can be a bit shit. Mike, who, bless him, he comes up on my Twitter and on my Facebook all the time. And I just said to him, look, I'm doing this new podcast. Basically, you can come on, you can moan about whatever you want. There's no boundaries. You can just basically rip to pieces whatever you want, as long as you make it funny. And do you know what he said to me? You tell me when and I'll be there.
Yeah.
And do you know what? That was just such a quick 45 minutes as well. It was unbelievable just how much we were able to dig up out of just two topics. That's all we talked about. Two topics, and we were able to have a good lot of giggles. We were able to have a great laugh. And you did get name dropped a few times, Matt. I will be honest.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
I hope that was good name drops, not bad name drops.
Is there ever such thing as a bad name drop?
I don't know. It's like, damn him, Geary. Damn him.
A bit that didn't make it onto the edit was I'd been talking about saying like people that might want to come on, people that might use a certain subject. And I said, you know what? If Matt Geary ever comes on, his subject is going to be me. He's going to say how much I suck and how much I am wrong on things. And I thought, you know what? I'll welcome it as well. It'll be a good laugh.
Jonjo, I think you've got a completely skewed view on who I dislike and like and stuff. Yeah, I don't think I'd have you on this podcast on a regular basis if I didn't like you, chap. So you can put that to bed, sir.
Oh yeah, but come on, you know, for the sake of, you know, half-hour comedy, I'm sure you could turn that around.
No,
and,
do you know what? I'm not the sort of guy who can even when I take the piss, you know, I would never lambast somebody unless I truly sort of hated them, and that's very seldom. There's very few people, you know, people who know me. You know, I don't hold grudges. I'm very forgiving to a lot of people and stuff. It doesn't matter what they've done. Everybody deserves a second chance in my mind. And so I don't sort of get that. I find it very hard to pick fun at people. I know I can take the piss, but I couldn't just sit there and lambast somebody. I couldn't do a roast or something like that because I'd feel bad.
I mean, the point is that I wanted to do a show that was just basically sometimes you just want to let things off your chest, and I thought it was a good idea to do that. But you've got to have a laugh at it as well. You've got to be able to provide a bit of humour and maybe talk about how you can work around it, how you can get from something that sucks to actually get to something that's good. That was kind of the idea. And the topics that we talked about on that first episode was Mike was talking about mostly everything to do with lockdown, because as he's a musician, obviously a lot of gigs got cancelled for him. There was a lot of work that basically, not just for him, but obviously thousands upon thousands of musicians that had just all their schedule just taken away. And even still today, who knows when we're going to get to be able to actually have full concerts anymore, be able to get that kind of work again. And it was quite interesting because obviously me and Mike talk every now and again, but it was good to learn a few bits about obviously what he's been through, learning about his exercise regime as well is quite interesting. If you get a chance to listen to it, because he is a bit of a runner. He does like go running, but his method, his timing is quite strange. Let's just say that. But have a listen. It's worth it. And we also get to have a good moan about one of my favourite subjects is that we get to rip into the Rise of Skywalker.
Oh boy.
Yeah, well, I don't know, man. Those things where you can literally just let rip, and it's just one of those. See, I find myself, even in this podcast, I sort of kind of open up maybe a bit too much, and then I sort of either upset myself or I maybe go into a bit too much depth, and maybe it's a bit too odd for others. So I just feel like, if I get in that, I'm just going to say some shit that one I might regret, or it might just feel a bit odd. So, yeah.
Sometimes that is good, though. It's good
therapeutic.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's what I see it as. I do see it as therapy, and obviously, you are both more than welcome to come and join in, because I know that I'm sure there's a subject that you both have that you would love to just tear to pieces. There is something that you probably have on your mind, maybe something you ain't even really discussed, but you just think, right, this is my opportunity now. I'm just going to talk about this thing and why I think it's absolutely horrible. And
I did a brief series on YouTube back in the day called "What Grinds My Gearies," and it was like random things like why there are warning signs on nuts that say may contain nuts, and just basically idiots being idiots. And I think like people stealing toast from your plate when you've got a certain amount of toast, and you've got beans, and I found it really funny. I thought they were really good, but obviously didn't do very well. Just sort of like the odd sort of they're still on YouTube, by the way. I'm like the grinds my gears, but they're not. Yeah, they're just random. And I was going to do a series of them because I had loads, and then I was just like, no, this just doesn't seem well. The one I was going to do, which I never got to do, were people with no spatial awareness. Or meanderers. They're the most annoying people ever. It's like you got people. Yeah, you're walking up the street, and they just seem to be able to follow you. And so, especially if you're in a hurry or you're late for work or something, and they're just meandering in front of you, or they just stop dead, and they don't understand that they're in a busy sort of walkway. It's like in conventions and stuff. People will just stop dead and start, and they don't think about, there's loads of people around you, and it's so annoying. I'm quite a patient person, but it annoys me. And it's like, especially when you're doing like interviews and stuff in conventions, and like we did this loads with like me and Pete in the last sort of games expo, and we set up a camera and we had microphones with leads on them, and we were standing sort of like, I don't know, 6 feet, 10 feet in front of the camera, talking, and people could see us there, and people could see that there was a camera there, but people still walked between us. They still walk in between when you were doing the thing. They still walked through that thing. There was no sort of, oh, you know what? There's people here with microphones and there's a camera here. Let's walk through the middle.
No, because that would be like being considerate.
Yeah, and it's just one of those pet peeves I have, because it's just like, I can be very forgetful and stuff, but it's just like it just seems like people just don't care. They just sort of going straight through, and then they do that thing when they realize 3/4 of the way past that they're in front of the camera, so they duck, and then they're like, that's not going to help in any way, shape, or form. Well, yeah.
Oh, dear.
I would have just a couple of lines of tripwire either side, so as they come along, you don't even see them get to the camera. You just go rip.
Yeah. I think it happened with me, and
Favour of one at chin height.
Yeah, I think it happened with me and Laura Benson. I think we were MCM. The same thing was happening. It was just like people walking in front, and we started like counting them every time they went through, and sort of, I even think I put a ping noise in when they were doing it, but it was just like so annoying. I was just like, you could see there's a camera here and that there's microphones. What are you doing? Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Yeah, but it sounds like a good concept, man. I have to say, everybody likes a good rant about something. So yeah. I'll listen to the other episode tomorrow when I've got some work to do and stuff.
I'll say it's only the one at the moment. I'm going to be looking to launch a new episode every Saturday morning. So the idea is to record during the week, so it's quite fresh. It's quite raw, I guess is the best way of putting it. I've got a couple of people who have already messaged saying that they want to be part of it. They want to get onto an episode. So fingers crossed. I've got the next recording. I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday night. But anyone who wants to take part, if you're confident behind a microphone, if you really have a subject that you are passionate about and you really want to say why it's a load of rubbish, crap, whatever, please do let me know, because I'd be more than happy for you to get in contact, have a go with it. I've even changed my Twitter handle. And I'll tell you this because a few years ago, I couldn't even have my own name as my Twitter handle because someone had already taken it.
I wouldn't say Jonjo's a very common name either.
Jonjo Cosgrove as a Twitter name. And when I tried searching it, there was no search. But when I tried to type it in, it went, no, this name's already taken. But this week I changed it to Jonjo Cosgrove again, and it was now free. And I was like, right, I'm reclaiming my name. I'm taking it.
It was like when we did Geek Pride. We tried to get the domain back in the day, and somebody had taken it, and then it was just like it had to be like Geek Pride 1 or or Geek-Pride and stuff, and it was just like it was so annoying. And it's just like you look at these websites, and I think there's another like geekpride.com. I don't think there's much going on, but it's like we've still got the domain, and it's going to cost a lot to buy it off, and it's just like, it's not worth it. Just use what we've got. But yeah, I understand the frustration. It is. So what's it called?
Oops, sorry.
A podcast is called All Things Suck.
All Things Suck.
Yeah, there was a few little jokes, and that was one reason why I kind of regretted having Mike to a degree, because I thought there's going to be at least one or two sexual jokes that are going to appear. Not many at least, so it wasn't too bad. But no, do you know what? It was really difficult because again, it's this thing as well. When you come up with a name for a show, you got to try and think of something that no one else has picked, but you don't want it to be too complicated. You don't want to think of something that's too silly or over the top of a name. The first one I really wanted Everything Sucks, but there was about 20 different podcasts channels that had that as their name. And I was like, All Things Suck. I was like, oh, that one's free. Okay, that's fine. That'll work. That'll do for now. And
no, it's definitely an interesting concept, man. It's definitely worth the go. Yeah, why not?
And it hasn't got to be geeky either. I mean, geekiness, is just inherent on my side anyway. Because and a lot of people that I know, because geek culture is basically just pop culture now. So that is going to be the standard. But anything you want to have a rant about, anything you think that you really want to get into, come along. It's going to be good fun.
Right, well, there you go. Everything Sucks, and
All Things Suck.
All Things Suck, sorry, yeah, All Things Suck.
Everything sucks is someone else.
All Things Suck. Yeah.
Busted already.
Right.
Oh, dear.
So, what's everybody been doing this week? What's going on in your life?
Has anyone been keeping up on the new Star Wars stuff? The Light of the Jedi?
I've seen some.
The High Republic.
I've seen some some artwork.
So yeah, I had a read of the first comic of that, and I'm listening to the audiobook of Light of the Jedi, which is the first full-length novel they've released. And there's a children book later this month, and another novel next month as well, which is interesting so far.
What is your view so far?
So far, it's pretty good. It's set for about 200 years before sort of the era we know.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. They've got this whole new timeline now, and they've designated stuff, and there's a whole big gap between what we're doing at the moment and what they're doing at the moment and the actual sort of the prequels. So that will be interesting to see what they do with that. But it's an interesting idea because it's a very different Republic. It's a lot more. It's less chaotic and more mature.
Mm-hmm.
So there's this whole thing that everyone's a bit sort of quiet. Everything's at peace, and then things start to go wrong. But also seeing different takes on the Jedi as well. I mean, I haven't come to it yet, but they feature a young Yoda, for example, who's not a master, but a traveling master, if that makes sense. So he's actually out doing stuff. But there's some interesting ideas in there as well, because the way the Padawans and the Masters interact is very different. They're a lot more loose, if that makes sense, in some ways, and their take on the Jedi starfighter is very interesting as well. It's basically like the minimal starfighter with very little computer support, because the Jedi are supposed to be like the guidance system.
Ah, right, I see.
So it's I will see. I've got to work my way through it. The downside to it, having it as an audiobook, obviously, is that a book that I could probably read in about 2 or 3 days is in theory 12.5 hours of talking. So I think I may have misconsidered that when I picked that up on Audible for a credit.
Right. Yeah. I've got a massive backlog of books to go through, to be honest, on my Audible. It's like, oh, that's the one thing about sort of being able to travel into work. I would listen to the book on the way to work, on the train, walking up to work, on the way back, and you know, if I had a bit of downtime on work and stuff. But now
that's all gone now.
Yeah, I don't have that, so it's just like my audiobook backlog is just completely it's massive, and we've got some new Horus Heresy stuff coming out soon, and I kind of really want to sort of make sure I get onto that and stuff. So
that's the worst thing. I picked up Ready Player 2 on that as well, so I was about a third of the way into that, and I dropped that to see what the High Republic was like. So I've just got to go back to that at some point as well.
So is that High Republic's like Sith Empire? And
no, it's
after
like
that?
the Republic. It's the Republic at its peak, so it's between Sith Empire. It's after the Sith Empire stuff,
right?
But it's before before the Rule of Two crossed over with it, obviously.
Right. Okay.
So it's kind of that noble thing before the Old Republic, even really in some ways, or after the Old Republic. But it's sort of like where there's no overlap in theory, but they've got problems that turn up, and they've got a different villain cast, if you like, which is like a pirate marauder sort of faction.
Okay.
They're bringing in that I haven't run into yet.
I think this is good because every time they do like an expansion on the Star Wars franchise, it's good that they can actually turn themselves away from the established time. Like, you know, so going between episode 1 and episode 9, it makes you remember that there is so much more Star Wars, so much more of a galaxy, so much more of a lore. I mean, you know, Knights of the Old Republic, I think, is still one of the best expansions that Star Wars has ever done, really, in terms of any media. But Republic, I really do want to read. I really do want to get into because of that, because it is a whole new section. It's a whole new area. I will say, though, from what you've seen of it so far, I mean, you said it's got a bit of a pirate theme. There is. Oh
no, there's the enemy faction they've floated that we're supposed to be running into as part of the first books and stuff is called the Nail, and they're kind of like a marauder pirate sort of setup. So they're a bit ragged and chaotic.
It's interesting because if you look at like Knights of the Old Republic, it was kind of the opposite way. It was like the Republic, the Jedi were kind of like the ragged side.
Yeah,
this, like the ones that were all in order, the ones that had everything perfect for them, and that's quite a nice contrast, really, when you look at it.
But
I think it's a shame though, because there was a lot of Star Wars Star Wars material before the new films came out, like you know, and
the legend stuff.
Yeah, and obviously
they
now
are cherry picking from it now. You'll notice if you notice as you're looking at some of the stuff that's popping up in like the side series in Mandalorian and things like that, you're starting to see people like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni cherry picking from that some of the better bits and ignoring some of the bits that probably didn't work so well. So it will be interesting to see if they carry on doing that and as things pop up, you know, because obviously the most obvious one is Thrawn, but then it's little bits and pieces of other stuff as well starting to pop up around the Mandalorian culture and things like that they're pulling out, like the good bits, or they're, you know, and then if you look at the films, you know, the Clone Emperor side of things is all classic Timothy Zahn, isn't it? The Dark Empire series and stuff like that. Just a different way around of doing it because they pushed it further back.
Like, I just want them to do the sort of I can't pronounce this properly. The Yuuzhan Vong. Yeah, the Yuuzhan Vong stuff, because that, you know, for me, you know, because
I enjoyed it, but I think I don't know. It had its moments. I mean, I religiously bought all the damn books God knows what they're in boxes somewhere. It's like too much stuff, even after 4 years of moving. But there were some things I didn't like the way about they handled it, and not just the whole killing Chewbacca thing. But they had the thing that's interesting is that the books and the legend stuff started before even the prequels came along, didn't they?
Yeah.
So as someone was saying in an article when they were talking about the High Republic, is that the Old Republic being the very popular thing that everyone knows, and all the other stuff that flew around it, like Outbound Flight, that then tied into the Yuuzhan Vong, that stuff was all being made up by people. And then parallel to it, you had George Lucas doing his thing, and you had some places where things didn't fit properly because George Lucas just said, "Well, it's my toy box. Bug you if I'm contravening you. You just have to pay catch up, don't you?"
Yeah.
I think it was when Knights of the Old Republic was being made, especially the first game. They really did go on this point of saying that we've consulted with Lucasfilm. We've obviously looked at certain things that we can use. And they said that that was part of the reason why they did a 4,000-year time gap, because anything that happens in that stage, obviously, is on its own accord. And it's very unlikely, even if there was anything that could be familiar, anything that could be kind of like referenced or brought up again in a Skywalker film, let's just say, it wouldn't make a difference, because it'd be like, well, hang on, so many generations, so much change. Is there going to be anything or anyone that's going to really reference or remember anything from that side? And I thought that was quite a good idea, because then it was like, it could be Star Wars, it could still be connected to that whole universe, but then it can be its own entity at the same time. It could be Star Wars its own in almost like just by name.
Yeah.
But you could almost, well, anyway, if it wasn't for for the Sith, the Jedi, and lightsabers, you could almost say it's like a completely different property. But, and I think sometimes that works well, because it's kind of like taking a risk on something, and then maybe later on they can go, hang on, let's use the retcon. Let's maybe put this in somewhere, and who knows?
Yeah. There's a lot of material there, and I think they're going to be milking the Star Wars thing for a very long time. So,
well, it's pretty clear.
And then we got I'll just be interested to see where the new films go.
Yeah, I suspect the thing is that from what they were saying about the reorganization of Disney, we may not see any big budget Star Wars films for a while, because they've rejigged all their production stuff around video on demand rather than cinema, haven't they?
Yeah.
So stuff that's in progress will be big stuff, but we're going to see more smaller stuff like Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, I suspect, for a little while at least, until someone decides to make a change around. They may not, as things keep going on.
I wonder if they'll bring in Luke into the Book of Boba Fett, and how Boba Fett will deal with that situation.
It will be interesting.
Or even Han Solo, because it's Han
Solo, Lando.
Thing is, right? It was Han Solo that made him go into the Sarlacc pit, wasn't it? So by hitting him in the backpack, basically. So
what's the name of the plays Han Solo in the Solo film? Alden Ehrenreich. You could basically just get him to be Han Solo for.
I thought he was really good. I thought he played a really good Han Solo, and it's just sort of
That's what I mean. They that cast if they were going to do something like that in Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian, because if you think like Alden Ehrenreich wasn't much older than Han Solo when he was first older than Harrison Ford when he was Han Solo, so I reckon that could work. And then obviously you could then get Donald Glover to be Lando again. So yeah, you've got a good cast there, and I reckon that would also be a good chance to maybe bring back Anthony Daniels, because I reckon, even though he said that he's done a C-3PO, I reckon if you put that offer in front of him, he'll be like, yeah, I'll do it again. I'll go back to it.
I think it would be interesting, as always.
Yeah. Solo was completely underrated. And you know what? The one line that I love in Solo is the, I've got a really good feeling about this. And it's just the juxtaposition from what they always say. And it's, it was just a little thing, but I quite liked it because it was just sort of like, I've got a bad feeling about this, but it's like, it's not. So, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. And I think I'm not sure if it came out at the wrong time, but it just got a bad sort of.
It just kind of.
Well, Christmas time, they had that hype around them, Solo was kind of just dumped in the May slot, and it was like, yeah, that'll do it. Just leave it to come out, and then that was it. It just got forgotten so quickly.
They gave up on it before it even came out. Really, it was just like, well, we've got to put it out now. We paid for it.
If it had a Christmas release, I reckon it would have earned at least twice the amount that it did. It would have had a lot more attention. And I think even then they would have been like, right, okay, we're getting onto a sequel pretty much straight away. But because of its release, because of the feedback, no. But then they keep saying that, they are going to try and incorporate ideas into the future series. So, and I think Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka Tano, all these shows that are going to be set in that timeline. I don't know, because Obi-Wan's going to be kind of its own thing, and I reckon the Obi-Wan series has got to have Darth Maul in it. That's got to be obvious.
I think it will fold in some way because they won't want to not have some sort of connection back to it, really, if they can avoid it, because they'll want to lose that, and it's all sitting in that that period. There's all these things that are going on in these different periods. And sometimes it's just events like overlapping, isn't it? Because they're Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and everything is post-Empire and pre-First Order, whereas obviously Obi-Wan is sort of overlapping with Rebels and stuff like that in that pre-Rebellion era.
I think you've also got that Rogue One spin-off as well coming out.
Cassian, yeah. I hope that's quite dark because he's quite a dark character. I think it does need to be just for the way he is, so that would be quite interesting.
And obviously we've got Rogue Squadron floated, which is about the only movie that's on.
That's the only movie that we really have any information on, because Taika Waititi is obviously making a film which we don't know anything really about.
Yeah.
And I think Rian Johnson is still supposed to be getting his next Star Wars film, which was going to be part of a trilogy.
Yeah.
But whether that's going to be like episode 10, 11, 12, or if that's going to be like a different trilogy altogether, there is so much potential for the Star Wars franchise, but we still don't know a lot, because I think they want the TV series to fester first. They want to see how the TV shows go for another year or two, and then they'll go, right, these are the films we're going to bring out, and then they'll go from there. I think they'll probably try and weave the TV and film series together, just like what Marvel obviously looking to do with the MCU.
Yeah. Obviously, they got Marvel involved with that anyway, because they got the Darth Vader comics. On the High Republic stuff, they've got 2 or 3 series tying into that, and in addition to the one that's launched this month.
Marvel Star Wars crossover. Here we come. The Guardians of the Galaxy bump into a Super Star Destroyer, and shenanigans happen.
Oh, there is some good MCU stuff that's been coming out in the last few days as well. But obviously, we'll talk about it after we've gone through this Star Wars stuff.
Yeah. Sarah Michaels on YouTube. Hello. Sorry. What were you saying, Jonjo?
Well, obviously, MCU is really kicking off now, because 2020 was obviously the first year since 2009 that we've not had any Marvel stuff. So it was quite obviously, it couldn't be helped because of pandemic. It's been a horrible year last year for many people. But next week on 15th, we have finally got WandaVision, which is looking really good. It's looking really fun. And there has been set photos coming up from Australia. Apparently, like, the sets are being built for the new Thor movie, and it's just been it's not been confirmed officially by Marvel, but Karen Gillan, Dave Bautista, and Chris Pratt have all landed in Australia to do filming for the new Thor movie. So basically, we knew the Guardians had to be in there before, because that's where
the overlap. Yeah.
Going. Tom Clemente is already over there as well. So we've basically got all the humanoid Guardians already over in Australia. Vin Diesel, I'm assuming, is going to be doing his voiceover stuff, same as Bradley Cooper. So they have to be there to worry about that side of it. I mean, it's looking really good. I think the only thing I'm fearing is I'm not trying to make it sound as much of a downer, but the Marvel slate has already been delayed by a year in terms of the film. So I think, given how everything's going at the moment, I can either see that they're going to go for I think they're either going to do something like what HBO is doing. They're going to either do it's available on demand, but obviously it's in cinemas as well, because cinemas aren't going to be back up to full speed in the next 4 months. I reckon that's going to be the case for the first few MCU films, because I can't see they're going to delay that slate anymore, because that's a.
The thing is, to do that, they need to really be talking to a lot of lawyers, don't they? Because of the kickback that HBO got, that Warner got over the HBO films about distribution rights and percentages and that side of things. Because there was just no consultation, was there?
Yeah, because they're now obviously trying, I think, work that deal out with a lot of them. A lot of the directors, including obviously Denis Villeneuve, for because he apparently was very upset at the idea of obviously the whole thing with the streaming. So they're now looking at making sure that everyone on their team gets a payout, obviously, with the streaming side. Because this is the thing. A lot of people can't go to the cinema, or probably don't want to go to cinema for a little while. That's understandable. So streaming is going to rise. We've seen it with Netflix. They've achieved apparently their highest ever figures. Disney Plus reached their 5-year target within 1 year. So a lot of people.
Do you think we'll see an end to cinema going?
I don't think we'll see it in cinema. I think it's going to be one of the things that it won't become niche, but a lot less people are going to.
It's going to wind back about 30 or 40 years, I reckon, to the point where it's more of a treat than a regular thing, because of the risk side of things, which means that it won't be. You may see that you're going to have 2 or 3 screens instead of like a 10-screen events and stuff like that, and people will go for things that are big, that you really want to see on the big screen, rather than you have to go and see it on the big screen, or you have to wait for 6 months.
Like I love going to the cinema. Going to how we always had a thing, cinema. We do it on Wednesdays, have some food, and then we go to the cinema, and we'd it always going to watch a film and then coming out and having that feeling of just like you've just been immersed in this sort of this sort of story, and I always love the feeling of sort of coming out of a cinema, and it would be a massive shame because it's just not it isn't the same watching at home.
True.
It's
the
not
thing
the
is
same.
that the industry had started to eat itself though and make itself unaffordable for so many people, because they kept cranking up the cost of the tickets and they kept trying to build bigger and bigger complexes and bigger and flashier technologies and stuff, and then people stopped going because they couldn't afford the tickets, and so their response was, well, the seating's down, so we'll have to raise the cost of the tickets again. Why doesn't anyone turn up? And the budgets went up for the films, and so to afford the films
it's not just that. Some of these studios have been asking for stupid money. I mean, Disney apparently looked for like a 60% cut of their ticket earnings, whereas most other studios apparently around about the 30 to 40% range, which, for a cinema that's obviously earning money from the film, but obviously have to pay so much of it back, a cinema is basically earning its money mostly off of popcorn, off of your like.
Do you know what their profit margin is on popcorn? It's like 500-600% apparently. It's ridiculous.
But do you know what? I love that if when I've had like a day off or something from work, and say like there's been a new film that's come out, I like to go on a midnight release. I like getting up to the cinema about 11:30 in the evening. And even though I might have had dinner a few hours before, I'll be like, Joe, what? I'm going to get a big off bucket of popcorn. I'm going to get a litre drink. I'm like, Joe, what? I'm going to park myself. I'm going to be happy. And it gets to that point about halfway through the film. It's like, I really need to go to the toilet now. I'm not leaving this screen now. I'm really not going to leave. Yeah. And it's that horrible feeling. It's like, this film's still on for another hour. Now, do I try and sneak out, or can I hold it, or do I have to reuse this cup now? Yeah. But I think that was one of the worst ones, was watching Avengers Endgame, because obviously that was part of a double feature. So you had Infinity War before, and then obviously there was a good gap. There was about a 45-50 minute gap. In that time, got up, went to the toilet, got a drink, sat down again, and then as you you're chatting, you're sipping, and then you go, it's 10-2. Do I need to go to the toilet again now? Can I hold it? So I know this is a 3-hour film that's about to come up. And I think that's worse as well, especially when you're watching a film like a Marvel film. It's the end credits. Right, I've got to stay to the end credits because, it's got to be something that's going to be worth watching. Endgame was the worst hold as well, because that was 3 hours already sitting there. And then as it got to the end, it was like, no, there is no There is no credit scene. Okay.
Endgame is the only film I've ever gone to see on my own. I've never been to cinema without other people being there and stuff. But you know, I went to Endgame on my own. It felt really weird because I was sitting there on my own.
I couldn't do that, not for Endgame. I'll say that obviously before lockdown, the last film that I saw, obviously before like the initial first lockdown, was Sonic the Hedgehog, and obviously I wanted to go see that film, but I didn't want to go like during the daytime because it's going to be like mostly kids there, and it's a bit weird for a 31-year-old. But funny enough, there was one night they were showing it at 10 o'clock. It was like, you know, over 18 screen, and I was like, perfect. And it was on the biggest screen in my cinema as well, and I was like, this is going to be so good. So got in there, got me a drink, got me popcorn, sat down, and I've got in. I was like, this is empty. This is
just you.
There was two thoughts I had in my mind. I thought, one, I know this film has sold out pretty much all the other screenings, but I thought surely there must be someone else who's going to be coming to watch this film. But I was like, no, it wasn't. And the second thing was, if no one had come in to see this movie, because it looks like everything's all done on an automatic schedule, would the film have just played to no one?
Yeah.
That was my thought as well. And I was like, but Joe, I loved it. I loved it. It was just so nice. Didn't have anyone talking, didn't see any phone lights coming on. It was brilliant. I was just sit. And Joe, I thought, sorry, there's nobody else here. I'm going to go on one of the fancy chairs. You know, I'm going to go to the VIP chair. I'm going to relax.
You're going to put your feet up and everything. Whoa, yeah.
Exactly.
We've had that before. We had that about 10 years ago. We were on holiday in Weymouth, and we went in to watch. I can't remember what the film was. It had Ashton Kutcher and someone else in. It was just like,
dude, where's my car?
Weather. No, it wasn't that. It was something special agency type, spy type thing, or something like that.
2010, 2011 sort of time.
Something along those lines, yeah.
Oh, no, sorry, I was thinking, but that was Chris Pine. One I was thinking of. This Needs War.
Yeah,
not that.
Yeah. But no, we went in and we sat down and so I'll be in a sec. It's like 8 o'clock in the evening. You know, it's not on a Thursday night. So surely someone will be in. And we were like halfway in and we were like, no one's coming. Okay, fine. And it's really funny because we were sat there and members of staff would come in and they'd look and they'd see us and they'd go, okay.
All right, let's put the projector on. No one else is coming in.
They have like I used to work for a cinema in Manchester briefly, and I'll tell you the reason I left that place. But they had this thing that you have like people that you had like afternoon showings, and they would have nobody in them. But if they saw a couple going in, they had this sort of like signal that they would give to keep an eye on them, because the only reason couples would come into the cinema in the middle of the afternoon was to fuck, basically. And they'd do that. You'd hear this thing over the radio, and I can't even remember what the code was, but they do that. You know, it was in the Odeon in Manchester, and they just sort of like.
The hot dog is in the bun. The hot dog is in the bun.
And they caught somebody who literally was sitting there. She was sitting on top of this guy, and they just said, "Can you get your clothes on and leave, please?" And they there was just nobody else in the cinema, just them, and they, you know, that's what they did. But I'll tell you the reason I left. Like basically, me and like my mate John and a few of others sort of joined the cinema at the same time. And we got jobs, and I got stuck on concessions, and I fucking hated it. It was just like, it was grim, because not only was it hammered, it was like, I remember it was my birthday. And I'd requested, could I get home early, because my girlfriend at the time was coming back from America, and I said, look, man, it's my birthday. Is there any chance I could leave slightly early so I can meet my girlfriend, and you know, it's my birthday? And he went, I'll think about it, and then proceeded to make me deep clean. And deep cleaning is basically where you have to go strip it down, and they made me do it on my own on my birthday when they knew I had it. And I was raging. I was just like, right, okay. And then I sort of dealt with it. I was in the concession stand upstairs, and I was coming out of the door at the same time. No, I was coming in the door into the back room at the same time a girl was coming out with a big thing of salsa. And she literally the door bumped me, and it just went everywhere. The salsa just went all over me, all over the the ceiling, everything.
Oh,
I went,
no.
that's it. I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. It's just like, fuck this. So I quit. It's just like, I'm not having this anymore. It's just like, I can't deal with it. It's just like, yeah.
That's
The worst
that's
thing.
pretty grim.
Yeah, the worst thing is, like, my mate, this girl, and I can't remember her name, but she ran off to get him, and like him and all the others are like sitting there looking at me like proper like high school sort of thing, you know. I'm covered in salsa, and like there's all these people just sitting there pointing and laughing at me, and I'm like, I am not impressed right now. So yeah, that was
Bubble,
I
bubble.
thought you were gonna say like they were going up to you with nachos, going, that's
Maybe,
quite
mate.
it was grim, man. I hate it. I think, you know, it had its plus sides because if it was busy, you know, you could sit there and you could watch films. Like if you're cleaning screens and stuff, you could sit there and you watch films, and you know, that was sort of, you know, that was good, and you know, you did get sort of like free films, but it was just, you know, it wasn't paid very well, and it was really thankless, and you know, it was, yeah, wasn't something I overly enjoyed and stuff. It's not what you think. You think you get a bit, like my mates, they sort of carried on. They had a bit more sticking power than I did, and they got to work in payroll and stuff, so they got to sit in an office and sort of just count money and stuff, and you know, they loved it. But whereas I was just like, no, I'm not dealing with this. I've still got that salsa smell everywhere. And apparently they said to me that like for like a year afterwards, the salsa stains were still on the ceiling where I've been. And I was just like,
Jesus Christ.
right, I was just like,
That's
right.
not a line you hear very often, isn't it? The salsa stains on the ceiling.
Yeah, the salsa stains on the ceiling. But yeah, so I've got a lot of respect for people, and it's also because you get you know, it's just customers. Like I've worked in insurance for a while, and so I can deal with Johnny Public every now and again, and you do get some absolute right jobs worths and stuff. And you know, I remember writing a statement for a lady, and I sent it out to her to sort of kind of sign, see if everything was okay, and she came back with the most pernickety things, like, oh, I didn't do this. It wasn't I don't know. It was something other. It was roundabout, but it wasn't. She said it's the same thing, but she had a different word for it, and she was literally
circle or something.
Yeah, and it was just annoying because she was getting really annoying, and she phoned up and complained to my boss, and I was just like, oh God. And it's just like, why are you being, and you just have to take it on the chin. It's like, I'm patient, I understand this, it's just annoying, and the public can be so
Oh God, yeah.
it's just, and when you're dealing with like hundreds of them, and if you're not sort of like, if you're on your own, and you know, and then in a cinema especially, they threw you in a deep end and stuff. It was literally, right, here you go, here's some quick training, go. And you know, if things broke, that was it. You had to deal with it, and it was so hard. And I was just like,
dude, I have 15 years in retail, including running departments, and 12, 13 years experience in tech support.
Yeah. People can be shit. The Slipknot
Pretty
song is right.
much.
People equal shit. Sometimes it's just, oof. And it was just
Sometimes,
like,
It has its high side. So they put me on shift running as floor manager every Monday for about 2 months, because that's when all the managers would have their meeting together where they'd be told off for not hitting their targets. And someone came in once and said, I hate to say this, but I think that you might need to get someone to go and clean up in the car park. I said, what's that? It goes, well, this guy pulled up in a pickup truck, and as he pulled away, something dropped out from underneath it. I think it might be a deer's leg.
oh.
And I was like, pardon? She said, a deer's leg. Obviously, we're in the middle of the South Downs National Park down here. And so I went and found the cleaner that was on, a girl called Katie that I got on quite well with. And I said, right, so you know that I'm the manager at the moment. She said, yep. Said, so I'm in charge. Yep. So I need you to get some rubber gloves, and I need you to get about 4 or 5 black bags. Why? I'm not telling you. You need to come with me. We need to go outside of the car park. Why? I'm not telling you because you won't go. Come along. Then I'm not going. If you don't come, I'm going to put you under my arm because you're like 5'2". I'm going to carry you out there. And as we were walking out, she goes, "What is it? Go and tell me." And I told her, and she went. And I stood there and said, "Off you go." She goes, "Can't you do it?" "No, you're the cleaner. You're the one that gets paid the big bucks." I hate you.
Oh man, I
it
think
was grim. They'd obviously hit something, and it had got caught up in like suspension or something. Oh yeah, no, it was not good.
No.
Oh no.
It's the glamour. It's the glamour.
There's like, you know, and I'm very sort of people who work in retail, like, I have a lot of respect for, especially in anybody who sort of has to deal with that sort of thing. So I'm very mindful about sort of being polite to, even if they fuck up. I'm very sort of like, I've been in that position, so I'm very patient with them, and it's like, it's fine, don't worry about it. But I used to hate, like, I remember it was the sort of the prequel trilogy was coming out. I think it was the Revenge of the Sith, and I'd sort of started working, and they get, like, in their defense, they gave us an early screening of it so we could see it, and I was like, oh, that was awesome. So we got to see it early, but I was stuck on what they called Nest Cafe, which was this like little sort of like cafe downstairs in the Printworks in Manchester, on my own, having not been there for very long, and it was like stupid things. It was coffees and things like that, and it was like everybody's really picky about their coffees and stuff like that. So I was getting grief from that, and then it was just, they were playing Star Wars music over and over and over and over again, and I was just like, I love Star Wars, but this is killing me right now. I just want to die. I was just like, this is not making me happy.
Everyone has their limits.
Yeah.
Years ago, when I was working over Christmas, one of the boards that we had at our job had a sensor on it. Every time you walk past it, it kept doing we wish you a Merry Christmas. And my manager at the time, she was adamant that it had to stay on all the time. So every person that walked past your front door, set it off. And hearing that every minute for 8 hours a day really fucked your brain over. Let's just put it that way. Every opportunity we got, say I was going out to grab a coffee or something, I flip the switch, I go out. About 10, 15 minutes, fine. But as soon as my manager noticed, and because she was just evil, she went back, flipped it back on. And then as I've come walking back in, it started off again. I'm like, not again. And do you know what? This was for about 4 weeks. And she said, right, no, this is Christmas campaign. This has to stay on over Christmas. It's like, no, it doesn't. I said, it's a 6 foot tall board. They can see it's advertising stuff for Christmas. They don't need to know anything else. And I swear that the day that it was over, we went. We had a couple of days off, so we was back in on the 27th. And I remember that morning, me and my mate Richard, we basically just said, right, before we do anything else, I said, we need to go and get that board out. And no lie, we took it, we ran to the back into our car park, and we basically just office spaced that fucking. we threw it to the floor, we smashed it up, the bats, we smashed it up with
hip-hop in the background.
We were stamping on it and everything. And I never felt such joy in my life. I was like, I feel so invigorated. Let's burn this place down. I was like, no, better not do that. But it was like, for 4 weeks, this thing, every single time someone went past, and it just drove you mad. And, some people going, oh, that's so nice, so quirky. It's like, no, it's not. It's a load of shit. We've had enough of it.
We had in my office, or where I work now, obviously I work from home quite a lot now, and I'm kind of hoping to get to work from home pretty much indefinitely, because I'm not really needing the office. But when you're in the office, it's in the centre of Manchester, and around Christmas time, there was always buskers, and they were always playing Christmas songs and stuff. And our office is in the Royal Exchange, and so it's like the windows are the building is obviously listed, and you can't do anything with the windows, so you can hear everything. So it was literally because all you would hear is these buskers doing stuff over and over and over again. I was getting to the point where they were really just winding everybody up. And there was this one busker, and I feel bad about it now, but at the time he pushed me to the limit, to the point where I was just like, this guy needs to go. He was like, he'd come back all the time, and he'd always have the same place. He'd stand near the M&S across way from us. And I'm having been a musician who's been in a band, having a lot of respect for people who want to start somewhere and who want to sort of become something. I've got a lot of patience and tolerance for bands who aren't great if they're trying. But if I have to listen to you every day, all the time, and it's been a detriment to my sanity and to my work. Then I was just like, right, that's it. And everybody in the office did the same thing. There was this guy, all we called him was Monotone Guy, and all it was because he would sing the same songs, but they all sounded like the same song. I was like, there was no highs or lows. It was just the same thing, and I was just like, I've had enough. And they're like, what are you going to do? I was like, I don't care. I've had enough. So I walked out. I came out of the office. I walked out. I wrote him a note. I folded it up. I walked past him. I looked at him and I threw it into his like, his buskers thing, which was empty, by the way. That he was bad. It was empty. And then I walked in and everybody went, what did you do? And I just said, I wrote him a note and I said, I appreciate that, everybody has to start somewhere. And I applaud you for standing in front of people to learn your craft. But one, learn how to sing. And two, stop singing in front of my bloody office because you're putting everybody off. Apparently, the guy said, my mates sort of were looking down and they saw this guy pick it up and he sort of kind of opened up the thing and then he sort of kind of looked around him and then he packed up his case and walked off. And I was just like, oh, I feel really bad now. But he had to go because he was winding everybody up. And I have a lot of respect for this, he sort of moved. He just moved down the road and carried on. I was like, all right, fair dues. But it was just like, he was so annoying. And to be honest, he didn't come back for a long time. And then one day I was walking past and I saw him and he had a guitar this time. So he was singing badly and playing guitar. And I was like,
so hang on. So the first time that he was performing it, what was it? Just like an audio track that was playing?
Yeah,
in the back?
Just had a backing track. They had this habit of sort of kind of wheeling in these like speakers with like it was like karaoke, but karaoke. And the thing is, in Manchester you get some really good talented buskers and stuff, but this guy wasn't one of them. And I, in my letter, and what I said to him, I said, like, man, if you're going to do this in front of people, you've got to practice, and and it's just like, I know, having been in a band and thinking you can just go out and play, you're just going to get ripped to shreds, and it's just like, you need to learn. And this guy's range was horrible. It was so bad. And it was just like, I couldn't deal with it. It was really putting me off of work, and he had to go. I was just like, I need to do this now because nobody else is going to do it. And it got to the point where they were getting so frustrated in the office that they built triple glazed windows over the old windows, so the sound wouldn't come in and stuff. So this guy,
they built a wall inside the wall.
Yeah, they built a wall inside the wall to keep the sound out. And it was just like, it was brilliant just because of this busker. But yeah. I don't know. Obviously, I've not been back in ages and stuff, and I doubt he'll be listening to this. But I feel bad that I crushed some young child's sort of dream of.
I was going to say, when you wrote the note, you didn't put your details down, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
I just sort of.
Please don't do it in front of my building. Signed of Geek Pride. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Yeah.
The thing is, he had like a little sign for Facebook and things like that, and I was just like, I'm gonna follow this, and I'm gonna tell him that he's shit. And he's winding me up. But it's just like, I'm not that sort of guy in any way. I'm not. I'm very, very. A lot of I know. I've been told I have the patience of a saint. I'm very, very mellow, and sort of. It takes a lot to sort of get me sort of riled up.
Everyone has limits.
Yeah, and that was it. I'd broken. I was just like, I can't deal with this guy singing the same song over and over and over again, and it was just like, and they're meant to have limits. You're not allowed to be in the same place for ages, and it's not as bad if the band are good, but he wasn't. He was so bad, and it was just like, at least when he had his guitar, he wasn't a bad guitarist, I guess, but he's just like, he was still singing the same way, and he had a mate with him, and his mate was a better singer, but he kept on sort of butting in, and I was like, let your mate sing. You just play the guitar and let your mate sing because he's better. And it was just like, so. Yeah.
There was over the last year, people obviously do things for trying to entertain, trying to alleviate the boredom instead of obeying the stay-at-home rule, because how difficult is that? There was an old boy around where I was working. Literally all day, he would go around on his motorised scooter. He had this massive 2-foot speaker on the front of it, and he was blaring out all these tunes. The first day, it was like a Lionel Richie wall of hits. So, you had Dancing on the Ceiling, you had Hello, hearing hello about 150
Hello.
is really awkward. It's really horrible to hear it. Say you, say me is really weird. And he even has a little microphone as well. So he's like singing along to every third or fourth word. You, me, together. It's like, and then the next day, he's going up and down again, but he's playing So Solid Crew. It's like, how does that even match? And then a day later, it was the hits of Simon and Garfunkel. And then the day after, it was Kylie. And then
I love crazy guys like that. I love people like that who are just sort of.
He's doing this for about 8 hours a day, just going up and down our high street. And our high street is not that big. It's about 60, 70 meters. So he's doing this back and forth all day. And we're thinking, that scooter's got to run out of power or something at some point. I was really wondering, how can it be going for that long? So, cheeky bastard, there's an electrical plug behind about 2 or 3 shops along from where I work, and they've got an outside plug. He was going there, charging it up twice a day. That's why he never left. He's plugged it in, and he's just like waiting for it to drip up, and he's doing it all over again. And then, oh my God, even then, like some guy then was joining him, said, "Oh, yeah, can I do a bit of singing for you?" And he's like fucking doing like freestyle rapping in the shopping centre. It's like,
there's a guy in Manchester, and it's slightly off topic, but there's a guy in it, when you do like, you got loads of buskers and people, and you kind of got you kind of get used to you get to know them as you're sort of going into town and stuff. There's a guy who plays his guitar like a violin, and he plays beautiful stuff. And then there's like there's a couple of Rasta bands. There's one that's really odd. It's fronted by like this sort of like white guy, and he's got the most Rasta voice ever. They're really good sort of Rasta band. And he speaks like he sings, so it's like, yeah, it's sort of like, so I'm not sure if he's actually, I think he's from Manchester, to be honest, but he's just really into his sort of his Rasta music and stuff. But there's this guy, he's not really a busker, he dresses up like dead. There's 2 of them actually. There's one who dresses up as either Mario or Darth Vader, and he plays either Mario songs or Star Wars songs on a keyboard, and that's it. And it's not even great. It's all right, but it's just funny because that's what he does. And then there's another guy who he gets his the karaoke thing, and he dresses up as Deadpool, but it's like a really shit sort of store-bought sort of Deadpool outfit, and then he just dances around as Deadpool, and he gets so many people, like so many people surrounding him, and it's like the dance moves aren't even sort of brilliant, because you can see like there's some really good dancers and stuff you see sort of kind of doing like all kinds of cool sort of like like breakdancing and sort of like all kinds of cool stuff, and this guy's just sort of being Deadpool and sort of moving his feet around. He's surrounded by people with cameras and things, and I'm just like, what? I don't understand. I don't get it. It's just really odd.
Saying that reminds me, years ago when I first, I used to work in Brentwood years ago. Anyone who is aware of the really horrible reality show, The Only Way is Essex, they film a lot of that in Brentwood. And so on the high street where I used to work, they used to obviously film quite regularly. So you see them all going around with the cameras. You see like the parade of people following them. And I remember the first time it happened, they were doing this little promo thing. So they kept playing music and like they're having them walking down the high street, and they're walking past the Sugar Hut Club. They're doing all this, like it's like all this promo stuff. And I thought, what's going on over there? Obviously, I wasn't really that fussed. I was just like, I'm just doing a bit of shopping. I thought, is there like a flash mob thing going on over there? Is there a band or something? Is this some advertisement? Like, I thought, I didn't know what was happening. I came out of the shop afterwards, and it was like there's about 500, 600 people all gathered round, and they're even like in the middle of the road. So the traffic has stopped now. Traffic can't even go back and forth on this high street. And I thought, what the fuck is going on? There's got to be something quite major. I looked over there, and like trying to wade through, and you see like there's like these 5 or 6 people, like so much fake tan on them that they look like they were going to blend into the sand that was all laid on the floor. For some reason, they had sand on the high street because they thought that was a great thing to do. And they're all outside this club. They're all going, "Yeah, you want to come here, don't you?" It's like, the fuck is going on here? And obviously, this is before Towie actually began. This is before they obviously had launched the first episode. Right. And it was like, I said, "What's this for?" And someone went, "Oh, it's for a new TV show." I went, "Oh, okay." I said, "Is it supposed to be a comedy or something?" And they went, "Oh, we know it's a reality show." I said, "Reality show with them."
Don't be so judgmental, Jonjo. They're people too.
But one of them, one of the cameramen shouted out saying, "Oh, can you go to the left of so and so?" And they go, "Which way's left?"
Yeah, it's hard to, as much as you try to be, everybody's their own person, but there's some really thick stuff.
I walked away, and obviously I didn't think about anything of it then. But a month or so later, see all the adverts coming up on ITV, and I was like, hold on, I saw this. I'm sure this is what I saw the other day. And then, for about a month or two, obviously they were filming, I think, concurrently as they were showing it. They were trying to obviously capture the live side of things. And I was in Costa Coffee. I was having my lunch break with one of my work friends, and we were just chatting. And a couple of them came in, and they said, "Oh yeah, sorry, just everyone act natural. We just want to get a few shots of so and so and so and so, just to obviously let them just don't give attention to them. They're just normal people. They're just trying to have a normal interaction." I thought, right, okay. About 8 or 9 takes of this one scene of them trying to talk about getting a new handbag. I was like, yeah, this is real life, isn't it?
I've never understood the whole toy thing where it's meant to be reality, but it's still scripted in a way, and it's just like, I don't.
But it was so awkward because it was like every time, you try to have a chat with someone, you have one of these guys sort of nudging you almost as they're trying to get the boom mic over. It's like, no, Joe, I'm out of it. This is absolute bollocks. But 9 takes of them trying to talk about buying a handbag. It's like,
oh God,
who cares? Who cares? Seriously, TV at that point have really suffered. This was before we got the golden age of Game of Thrones. This is before Breaking Bad really blew up. This is before we got all the massive TV shows that we need. This is when reality TV had taken over, and they thought this was the next best thing. And I thought, this is god awful. Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea to make a show of this? And even today, I still can't understand how shows like that are being made and how people can even honestly believe that it's real. No,
it's just because of my ex used to still probably likes all the dating programs and all of the reality stars, especially the celebrity ones, and the celebrity ones are invariably filled with people from Toy and things like that, and
someone phones up and says, "Will you?" Yes.
Yeah, and it's like you listen to them, and they're either completely up their own arse, or they're as thick as pig shit, but there's something about them. And even I've watched them in this sort of morbid curiosity, because you're just like, what? Are these people real? Are they real? Are they? It's just like, it's mad. But I suppose that's what it is. It's car crash TV. It's just like, it's why I'm kind of gutted that Trump doesn't have a Twitter anymore, because it was just like, this is car crash stuff, man. This here.
Hey, he wants to make his own social media now, don't he? So you'll find plenty of things that he's going to do in the future when he's tweeting.
If he doesn't get thrown in jail, but there you go. So,
and if he can find new money to do it with, because no one wants to deal with him anymore. Even Deutsche Bank have dumped him.
Well, yeah, good riddance. Like I say, good riddance. So yeah.
Oh dear.
But say about this, with Car Crash TV, I find that most reality shows I can avoid. I can just think, they're absolute load of tosh. And I found that the only 2 shows, reality shows, that I'll watch, and I actually really enjoy, and I don't know why, Come Dine With Me is one of them.
Yeah, I like that.
But then I love that just for the little petty arguments. I
Oh,
think that's
God.
just so fun.
It's the commentator. It's the guy just sort of like ripping them.
Oh, Garrett Ladd.
Yeah.
Fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. And then you've got the only other one, and it is absolute tosh. It is absolute rubbish. But I really do enjoy The Masked Singer. I don't know.
God!
I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's weird from wrong, but it's fun.
It is addictive TV. It is so horrid to watch. But
It's based on like a Korean concept, which says an awful lot.
Yeah.
The Korean one had Ryan Reynolds in it. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
I've not watched. I don't watch, to be honest. At the minute, I don't watch a lot of TV. I just watch series on Netflix and on Amazon.
I love them more on Netflix as well. That's the best thing.
Yeah. I watched. What do we watch? We watched. Well, I'm a bit of a sucker for costume dramas for some reason. We watched Bridgerton on Netflix.
Bridgerton,
Which is it's costume drama, but it's like completely over the top, and they've just sort of they've made no historical sort of play in it whatsoever. It's sort of loosely based in the sort of 19th century, 13 time, and it's just like completely over the top, but it's a good romp. And where my girlfriend, who enjoyed that, I started making her watch Downton Abbey again, because I like Downton Abbey, and so we started watching that again. And she started off just not being interested, and now she's crying and she's shouting at the screen, and she's getting really invested in it. And she's like, "Why, fucking Thomas?" Getting really annoyed with him. It's like, why is he, And she's like,
"Wait till you get to the film and you tell her there's no more."
Yeah,
She'll die.
Yeah,
she'll absolutely die.
She's getting really frustrated at the minute because obviously, and spoiler alert if you've not watched Downton Abbey, but Matthew's died, and she's just like, "Oh my god, I don't want to watch this anymore." And then it's just sort of carried on, and she's getting annoyed with Thomas because he's being a shitbag, and it's just like, yeah. So again,
as I said before, the only Downton Abbey I've watched is the film, and so on that side, I had to watch it mainly due to obligation that my girlfriend and me have decided that, we always pick a film each when we do go cinema. So she'll pick one, and then the next time we go out, I'll pick, and then we work it that way. So, and I did promise. So I went, Downton Abbey, let's go and watch it. That's fine. I thought, maybe she'll forget about it. Literally, the day it came out, are you booking that ticket? Yeah, okay, I'll book it. Good, you're booking it Sunday. We're going to watch it this Sunday. I went, okay. Are you sure it's going to be on? Yes, of course it's going to be on. What are you talking about? I'm stupid.
The series is good. The series is good. I sort of historically, some of it I could sort of say, that's probably kind of what it was like. But I think there's certain things which they sniff at within the series, like homosexuality, and currently there's a person of color on it at the minute, and they're being a bit iffy about him and stuff, because obviously back in those days, but it's just like they're still very like Barrow, who's one of the footmen, he's gay, and everybody knew he was gay and stuff, and he does something, and then they sort of kind of stick up for him, and I'm just like, as much as that, I feel that makes me feel good that they did. It's like, would they have though, or would they have just thrown him to the wolves and
It makes you wonder how much of modern day things get involved.
Yeah, the modern day morality would have sort of kind of got up and stuff, and it's just sort of like, do you know what I liked about Bridgerton was the fact that you had like the Queen. Was a person of color. The Duke was as well, and they didn't care. They just sort of made it as outrageous as the time, and I think they did it on purpose just to sort of piss off those people who go, "Oh, that wouldn't have happened in these times. They wouldn't have done this." This sort of Midsummer Murders people who went, "A black gentleman in Midsummer Murders? Never. That would never happen," and stuff. It's just like, I like that, and as much as the historical side of me, I understand certain arguments about things like this wouldn't have happened, they wouldn't have done this, blah blah blah. But I kind of like where they just go fuck it and they just throw everything in, because it it just became something you could watch without having to feel like you were there was sort of a minefield in front of you, a politically correct minefield in front of you. So Bridgerton was really good, really enjoyable. I enjoyed that a lot. And Downton Abbey for its its flaws and stuff is very enjoyable and stuff, and it's kind of like, I think somebody described it as like it's a soap opera, a costume soap opera in a way, and yeah, it is. It can be quite bleak at times, but yeah, it's quite enjoyable, worth a watch.
I think a lot of these. I was just gonna say, I think a lot of these things in terms of like TV shows really do seem to embrace people of color. They really do seem to embrace different sexuality now. I find a lot of that is due to Russell T Davies, because a lot of his work, if you look at Queer as Folk, that was obviously a massive hit at the time.
Yeah.
Doctor Who, he never shied away from. Squeak.
Sorry,
Squeaks.
I've got like my dog is destroyed. I think.
His objection. He's like, I have something to say.
Sorry, Jonjo, carry on.
No, that's fine. But anyway,
Sorry, man. I won't do it again. I won't do it, I promise.
It's because I can't see you on this one. Right, so on Doctor Who, obviously, Russell T Davies never shied away from different terms of sexuality. And one of the biggest parts of that was Captain Jack Harkness. This was a character who basically, in the final episode of Series 1 of Doctor Who, obviously Christopher Eccleston series, you see him literally kiss Rose as he thinks he's about to die, and then he kisses the Doctor. It's just like, everyone's just like, okay, that's done. I remember seeing some of the comments on, I think it was like Digital Spy website going, hang on, how can this man kiss another man? This is weird. And then like 10 other people going, I didn't notice anything wrong. What are you on about? And then it was like in the Stephen Moffat era, you had the Silurian who, the female Silurian who was in a lesbian relationship with the Victorian woman. It was like
woman from the dawn of time, her lesbian lover and their potato.
That's it, yes. And even what was it in the first Matt Smith series? You had Queen Elizabeth X, who was a black woman, and it was just like they just went, this is it. This yeah, that's it. What's the concern? It was like, there's no concern. This is how it should be. It should just be normal. It shouldn't have to be people going, well, hang on, why are they doing this? It's like, well, no, just accept that it is, because what's it going to do? What's it going to offend? What's it going to really do anything wrong? Nothing. It's just saying that there are other situations apart from straight people, white people all around the place. You are allowed to have things different, because that is how life is. And
you're not even including Peter Capaldi standing on a rooftop shouting at a T-Rex, "Come here, you big sexy woman."
Yeah. This is just it. There is so much, I think, in terms of like Doctor Who. I think what Doctor Who did this time around is kind of what Star Trek did back in the 60s. There were certain things that they were able to do which you wouldn't have seen in any other TV show, and they kind of made it the norm. One of the big things was that the crew of Star Trek, obviously, you had Uhura, who was a black woman, you had Sulu, who was obviously an Asian man. It was like, many people used to think, well, hang on, we've never seen a show like this before, which was weird. But it's like, it shouldn't be weird. This should be.
They threw in a Russian as well at the height of the Cold War.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that as well. Yes.
And you had the sort of first interracial sort of kind of on-screen kiss as well between Kirk and
yeah. But that's always one of my favourite bits of Futurama, when they say about doing things that are brave. And Nichelle Nichol goes, in the third season, I had to kiss Shatner. And that is just one of my favourite lines ever in a cartoon as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Mind you, Jonjo, you saying about reality series you like. If you like Come Dine With Me, try for another Guilty Secret, 4 in a Bed.
Oh, I like 4 in a Bed as well.
Yes, that as well.
I like 4 in a Bed too.
So
it's just the backstabbing. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
obvious.
That was actually on yesterday. Yesterday afternoon, I didn't really feel like doing anything, so I put it on Channel 4. And I did watch, because when they show it, they show all the episodes all in one block.
They show them back to back in a block, yeah.
And there was just this couple, this woman who just like, literally every time she went to a hotel, she's like, yeah, no, the room smells damp. It's like, well, no, the room doesn't smell damp. The room's fine. Well, it smelled damp to me. And the next one, she's going, well, there's a load of spider webs, there's a load of cobwebs in here. And it's like, well, yeah, you're in a field. This is going to happen.
Yeah,
it's like,
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was glorious. And
The thing
I
is,
love
these
things
people,
like that.
you get the fact that they probably won't pick normal people to be on this. They just want the people who are assholes, and it's
they
like
out the decent people unless they're going to put them in there as a gratuitous sacrifice.
Yeah, and that's it. And you always
get the three worst assholes,
Yeah.
and you put the nice person as the last person they're going to visit, knowing they're going to get absolutely shredded.
Imagine they're reading all the TripAdvisor reviews and they're going, oh, this person got 1 star out of 5 and was called to see you next Tuesday. Yes, we've got to have this person on.
Yeah. And it's just, it is mad, but it's just the fact that you get them and they know they're just trying to sabotage things, and they still, they've got it in the back of their mind that they're being sort of honest and they're trying to be sort of thing. And it's just like, you're horrible people. It's like, I wonder what they feel when they watch it back, when they watch these things back and stuff. Do they kind of go, oh yes, I was right, or do they think, oh, I look like a bit of a tit now doing that? Yeah,
they probably convince themselves that they're just being that it's the fault of the program makers making them look bad when they know exactly what they were doing really.
Well, apparently, I saw a thing. Apparently, Come Dine With Me it's meant to be quite grueling. Apparently, when they film it, no, apparently the taxi ride isn't even their taxi home. They just put them in a taxi and drive them around in a circle so they can do the thing, and then they sort of leave them off. And
I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, and apparently, like they do stuff like the crew allegedly will sabotage things to make it sort of more interesting and stuff. So things will go wrong because the crew will do stuff just to make it go wrong and stuff. And
imagine this: when it's someone's day to obviously host, they've got that camera crew in their house all day watching every move they make. So when they go out to do their shopping, to go and get the food, when they're doing all the preparations, they're getting the house ready, they're getting themselves ready. They've got that camera crew there all day. Imagine how that must feel. Every time you go, I was like, oh shit, you're still there.
I always think what I would cook if I was doing sort of Come Dine With Me, but it's just like,
oh, go on, then.
I don't know. See, because I enjoy cooking, but I have a very sort of like I like sort of like Spanishy type stuff. So I like paellas, and I like they're Mexican like fajitas, and I like but I like rice dishes. And it's like, what would I do and stuff? And I think I might do tapas. I'd probably do tapas. I think some sort of tapas, because it would be a lot of little sort of small things that people could try out. My problem is when I make stuff, I make lots of it. There's no portion control. It's literally I just throw stuff in until it tastes nice, and there's loads of it. So when I make paellas, there's like 2 pans worth of it because I've overcompensated. It's like, well, it says to put 3 cups of this in. Let's put 5 in. Boom, 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 and then you just
3 cups, and I'm going to get one of those really tall, tough coffee mugs. The length of your arm, yeah. That's okay. It's about the right size, isn't it?
And I'm an all right cook, I think, but I'm not the best. And I just sort of like, I don't know. I sit there and think, what would my entertainment be? It would just be like, what would I do?
You'd have to break the guitar out, wouldn't you?
Say it again.
You'd have to get the guitar out.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm really. It's weird.
Oh, do you do D&D? D&D?
Yeah, I could do something like that, I guess. Being in a band. This is the one thing this is like back in the day when I was single. One of my mates was just like, "Oh, we're gonna get you on. What's it called? Take Me Out. Yeah, we're gonna get you on Take Me Out." And I was like, "No," and I'll tell you why I'm not going on Take Me Out. It's because I'm not a bad looking fella. And I know I could keep a few girls' lights on, but what would happen is initially I'd walk on to some pretty good sort of, rock music or something, AC/DC or something like that, yeah. A few people would turn the lights off. I'd sort of get through the first round, all right, maybe sort of 3 or 4 would turn the lights off. As soon as they either brought my mates in or as soon as they showed my massive collection of Lord of the Rings figures or something like that, it would literally just go out, and I'd be the all by yourself and walking off on my own. Or I'd be left with the super crazy nerd, and I have no problem with nerds, but it's always the super crazy one who's left, he's like, I'm not turning off for anybody because I want a holiday. And I would just be like, God. So I wouldn't want that to happen. So yeah, I never went on.
If you did get, because we tried that with one of my mates. We said, because he always kept moaning, saying that he was always the single one, that he was never getting anywhere. So we said, yeah, we'll do an application for you. And he went, no, don't do that. I'm like, well, wish you told us. We already did apply. And we'd done this years ago, and we completely forgot about it. About a year later, there was actually a reply to it.
Really?
Saying, yeah. Do you know what? And it actually said, because obviously it was for me, mate, but I couldn't remember his email address, so I'd obviously put my email, and I completely forgot about it. And I went, and it was like, dear Ian, you are selected, blah, blah, blah. Please get in contact as soon as possible. We'd like to feature you on our next series of Take Me Out. And I told him about it, and I said, Ian, you know that thing you didn't want to be on? I said, well, they actually want you to go on there. And he literally said to me, if you tell them I'm going to do it, he said, I am going to fucking scream. I am going to kill you. And I went, oh, so shall I tell him that's a no then? But what we didn't know was that another one of my mates had sent another application for another show. And he got accepted for that as well, but he said no to it. And this was obviously, we'd been drinking the night. Obviously, we'd done these applications, but I didn't realise my mate had done another one. And I said, what's this other one? He said, I sent him in for Naked Attraction.
Oh man, that is just.
Oh god, no.
Naked Attraction, man. That is just. Why would you do that to yourself? It's like. You're never gonna live that down, especially if you're, if you're.
Always the woman's always going to go for the well-endowed guy as well. It's
But it's
just. Do you fancy Dave over there, or do you fancy Rodrigo, who's got it swinging by his knees?
It's just like, why, without being too generic and sort of chauvinistic about it, but if you're a man and you go on that show and your mates find out about it, you will never live that down. You will literally be the butt of their jokes, forever. Especially if you get knocked out early. If you get, and it's just like, why would you do that to yourself? And it's just like, yeah.
That's how desperate some people are to be on TV.
Yeah, just like, there's no way, man.
It was like, embarrassing bodies always used to be the worst one. I can't go in front of a doctor to tell them my problems, but I'm happy to go on TV in front of millions of people and show them this lump on my,
Do you know what the worst one I saw of that, and I don't watch that, I don't watch them, but I saw one, and it was this guy, he was like a pub landlord, and he went in and he was talking to what my friend Rachel called Dr. Hot, the sort of kind of, the muscly sort of kind of plastic surgeon look sort of guy, and he was basically complaining about how something to do with his ass, basically. It was like, there was problems with his ass, and it smelt and blah blah blah, and the guy went down and told him to bend over, and he sort of had a look, and then he recoiled with this sort of like proper sort of like, whoa, what the fuck, and he told him on TV in front of everybody, he says, you don't wipe your ass properly. And that was it. So the whole thing, this guy come on TV and he basically told him, this guy ran a pub, and he said, you don't wipe your ass properly, and that's the only issue there. And the guy went, all right, okay, and walked off. And I was like, that's got to be some guy who's been in the pub and told his mates, I'm going to go on and not wipe my ass, and that's going to be it. But it's just like, that's on TV now. That's on TV forever. And
oh god, yeah.
And it's just like, why would you do that?
And not just you, but like your kids and your grandkids, and your sisters and brothers, your parents.
Yeah. So rough. Yeah, it's just like, if people want to be on TV so much, it's just like God, if you're gonna go on like Big Brother or something like that, it's just like, yeah, it's totally not worth it for the amount of grief you're probably gonna get later on down the line and stuff. And
have you seen Tattoo Fixers on Channel 4?
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, there's some pretty rough ones.
Or what about the one again? I don't watch it. I've watched like one or two ages ago where they basically have two friends and they give each other, they design each other a tattoo, and they're not allowed to see that. They're not allowed to see the tattoo, and they basically reveal it. And invariably, somebody gets a dick drawn on them or something ridiculous, and it's like it's a tattoo, so it's on them forever, and they get really upset about it. It's like, well, you know, if I turned around to one of my mates and went, design me a tattoo, and I'll not look, and then it'll be on it, they're going to draw something stupid, and it's just like, it's your own fault. There's no way I would trust any of my mate to design a tattoo for me that was going to be a big reveal, because it's just going to be a big raging phallus or something like that. You know, it's going to be something ridiculous, like that meme guy, you know, with the big knob, who's sort of like, you know, he's always, you know, in any picture you open on WhatsApp, he's there. It'll be that or something, you know, and it's like, that's what you're going to expect, you know. So man. I don't sort of, yeah. I to be honest, I think it's easier being a girl on Take Me Out, because there's so many of them and it's not a big deal. But if you're the fella and you're literally, you know, you get blanked out, it's embarrassing. It's super embarrassing and stuff. And it's just, you know, Tabitha Lyons, you know, the cosplayer, she was on that a couple of times. So was Natasha McKenzie's another cosplayer. And there was a few others actually. There's a guy, the lead singer for Remembering Never was on it. I can't remember his name. They did a cover of John Farham's "You're the Voice," but a metal version of it. And they played that as his sort of thing, as his, like, what he did. But yeah, being on TV, it's good, but I think there has to be a limit, you know, without embarrassing yourself, you know.
The thing is, I have applied for TV shows, nothing like that, obviously.
If I see you on Naked Attraction, Jonjo.
Why are you watching Naked Attraction? No, I really want to get onto a quiz show. I've applied. You don't know how many times I've applied for stuff like The Chase. I've applied for Pointless, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I even applied for Eggheads. And Joyce, out of all them, I'd love to go on them. The one I'd most want to go on to, though, is Only Connect. I absolutely love Only Connect. That is like one of my favourite
What's Only Connect? What's that one?
No idea what that is.
Yeah, what is that one?
Only Connect is it's on BBC Two on a Monday night. Basically, it's like it's a quiz game, but it's like you're working out the connections that are shown to you. So there are 4 clues.
Yeah.
They're shown one at a time. You have to try and work out what the connection is between them 4 clues, and some of them can be quite easy, some of them can be really difficult, and it is just the brain power that goes into some of these choices, some of these things that they make is fantastic. And then there's even a missing vowels round at the end, where literally it might be a phrase, it might be a place, it might be a combination of words, things like that. Literally they'll just take out all the vowels, crush all the letters together, they go, right, work out what that is supposed to be. And I love it. It really does get my brain working. And the only thing that I say about that, which is quite wrong, is that I know plenty of people that are clever, but I don't know many people that are good with connections. And I say that in the place that where I do a pub quiz, used to do a pub quiz, and I used to do a connections round each week, the amount of people that can never get the connection, I'll be like, right, so you can't even get these, and I think these are quite easy. I'd hate for you to come onto a show with me and just go, no, I don't know any of this stuff. I'd love to do that one day, because you've got to be in a team of 3 for Only Connect, though. That's the only problem. You've got to have a team of 3 to be able to do that.
The only sort of
Sheldon, I'll just hire 2 people. It's like, yeah, that'll do.
The only sort of like TV game, well, it's not even a game show, but it was like a history show. I can't even remember. But it was basically, they used the
Time Commanders.
Yeah, Time Commanders, yeah. And I applied for that with a couple of my mates and stuff to go on. because I used to love it when I was a kid growing up, and me and my dad and stuff would watch it. And I was like, oh, I would love to do that. That would just be something, that would be awesome. But they only did like two of them, I think. And yeah, it was a shame because I would have loved to have done that. But other than that, I don't think I've ever applied for anything. Game shows, like, I'm very good at sort of answering stuff after the event or sort of like at the time, but I'm not very good at time limits and stuff like that. Unless I'm playing Articulate, I am awesome and currently undefeated Articulate. But general knowledge and quizzes and things like that, I'm a bit iffy about. I know a lot of stuff, but I'm not very good at answering it quickly.
I find that from doing the pub quiz over the last 4 years, the amount of general knowledge questions that when they come up and I go, I know the answer to this. I don't know why I know it, but I do. And it's like, it scares me sometimes, the stuff that I'll remember. And it's strange. And that's why I'd love to go on to something like The Chase, because I think that'd just be quite a lot of fun.
Would you do the full amount if they did the whole, you can have £1,000, you can have £8,000, you can have £55,000?
Would you know what? Joe, what? If it was such a high offer, I couldn't say no to it. I'd be like, Joe, sod it. It's a chance I've got to take, You're only there the once, you've come with nothing. I know it's a cliche thing to say, but it'll be like, right, come on, let's do this. Let's really go for this. And if I went on there, because I was thinking about, I also said before, like, if you could choose what chaser you could go up against, I'd like to go up against Anne Hegarty, because I think if you're going to go against someone that's smart, that's quick, and I think you've got to go up against someone who's got a good mentality to him as well. And I think she's probably the funniest person on that show. So you'd have to go with someone who you're going to have a laugh with, even if they do wipe you out.
Yeah. I think you'd have to. If you that much money, you'd just go, yeah, why not?
I'd just go, sod it. Yeah, come on, let's do this. Let's play properly. 2 questions down, 2 questions done. I'm out. So,
yeah, 100%.
But that is the problem, I think, with a general knowledge one as well, to a degree, because you think, as much as you may do really well, you might watch one episode, you go, I've got every answer right. You might go on them, because it's general knowledge, you might go, oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that one either. Oh, crap, what have I done?
It's very much the luck of the draw and stuff. It's just sort of like, the thing is, there's been questions like in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, like £500,000 ones, £250,000 ones, I think even £1 million one, where I've been like shouting the answer at them because I was like, I know this, I definitely know this, and it's only hard if you don't know it, and it's just like, and people are like, oh, I don't know, it's like, it's definitely this, it's 100% this. But
how can you not know?
Yeah, it's just, yeah. But then there's certain ones where there's been super easy questions where I've just been like, I'm gonna click, don't know, really don't know.
I was just say that though. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine did go on to Countdown, and it amazed me because he told me about it. He said he applied for it, and I thought, oh, yeah, good luck. Hopefully you get onto it. And he told me he'd filmed an episode, and I went, how did it go? And he said, oh, I can't tell you. You'll find out when it airs. And I said, well, do they give you a range of when it's going to be airing? I think this was around about March or April time. He went for the recording. He said, oh, yeah, it's not on until about October. I went, right, okay, so you're now going to tell me you're going to wait 6 months before I actually find out how well you did. I said, right, tell me the date range of your episode. And so I recorded them, and I was like, right, let's watch this. And I said, Joe, I won't judge or anything. I said, because, under TV pressure, you're going against the clock. You're going up against an opponent who, you see some of these people get an 8-letter word as a minimum each time. It's like, some of these people are really challenging. His game came up, and I kid you not, the first 3 or 4 rounds, he absolutely stormed it. He got 3 7-letter words. He got an 8-letter word. He got 2 of the 3 numbers ones exact. I was like, he's actually doing quite good. This guy that he was up against, I think they were like, he had 40 points, and the guy he was up against had about 8 or 9, so he wasn't doing too well. Second half of the game, it was a completely different story. He just got wiped out. Two numbers games, he didn't get at all. The other guy got them exact. The guy got a 9-letter word, and then obviously that just trumped everything. And then when it got to the conundrum, this guy was on about 85, 86 points. My mate was still on the 40 that he'd had at the end.
No.
Oh,
So got to the conundrum, and he was like, and he said, yeah, he said, I knew the conundrum. I said, well, but he didn't answer it. The other guy answered it. I said, well, why didn't you answer it? He said, what's the point? I've lost. I said, there was still that little bit of pride. You could have just said that you got it, even though you didn't win the show.
oh God, yeah,
He
don't
said
give
no.
up fighting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big time.
he said no. He said, I just felt like I just couldn't be bothered now. And when you see his face, when like obviously near the end of the game, when like you got Nick Cure going, so the scores are so. I'm not going to say his name because if he watches this, and I know sometimes he has watched Geek Pride, he'll kill me. But he went like, oh, so and so has got 85 points, whatever, and so and so is unfortunately at 40 as we go into the final round. It was like, what's that?
I like
No.
countdown, but I'm
I'm
dyslexic, so I'm not very good at it. I'm not very good. My spelling's pretty atrocious as it is and stuff. But there's the odd word which you sort of kind of know, and it's But I don't think it'd be very good.
Sometimes it falls into place, yeah. But I wouldn't mind doing countdown. I reckon it'd be fun. But it's one of them shows that I think some people live for countdown. Some people literally they go on there. They can do like 8-letter word every single time. They can get the numbers around literally within 5 seconds. You can't compete with some of these people.
Is countdown still going? By the way, they still do it? Yeah, because I thought it was just like 8 out of 10 cats do countdown and stuff.
No, you still got the normal one. In fact, obviously, like most shows now, they have got their COVID procedures in place. So literally, all they've done is they've just spaced them out a bit further along the desk. So they've now got their big gap. It's quite good when they go. Like someone goes, oh, I've got such and such word, and they go, oh, what about you? I've got the same. It's like showing them the word. It's like they've got to push that paper so far now. Just go, can you see it? Can you see it yet? Can you see the? Can you see my word? It's like why not do it on digital pad or something? Like a lot of these quiz shows now, they have a digital pad that they can write on. I think that'd be so much easier.
Yeah. Who's presenting it these days?
Oh, Nick Cure is still presenting, but he's apparently stepping down next year, so obviously they're going to now get a new host for it. Don't know who would take over, but Nick Cure is actually quite good. He's not someone I would have pegged as a TV presenter beforehand. Because seeing him on The Apprentice, I never really see him as like being that guy that would be the front and center.
Yeah.
He's actually really good. But I reckon if they were to pick someone now for Countdown, just for a laugh, I think Eamon Holmes would be quite good for it.
You need another guy like Richard Whiteley, don't you? You kind of need that sort of. It was Richard Whiteley, wasn't it? That was his name.
Yeah, Richard Whiteley was the first one.
Yeah, because he was quite amusing. And that sort of. We used to watch it after university, randomly, not just sort of as a thing in the background, and it was more for him than anything. Yeah, cool. Right. Okay. I think we're going to leave it there then. I think I'm going to go and watch some more Downton Abbey with Gosha while she sort of rages at the TV.
Are you watching Downton Abbey or are you watching Gosha?
It's kind of her and stuff. It's her emotional roller coaster and stuff. And she's got this thing because like we've been through Friends and because she didn't watch a lot of TV when she was in Poland, and especially like English TV and UK American TV and stuff. So she's not seeing things like Friends and things like that. So we've gone through all of these series and stuff. So she's got this thing now that when she sees somebody who they're a good couple, it's like, he's her lobster, and that she says this thing like from Friends. So that's her thing now. When she say, so Bates and Anna, that's their lobsters, and it's just like a Friends reference because we watched that and it's so it's good because like she gets really emotionally invested in these things, and it's good to see somebody really sort of take watching things for the first time is actually quite good to watch because they're like getting into it, and it's like it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's just good to watch her watching the thing. But yeah. Right, so yes, we'll leave it there. It's been an interesting one, starting on Star Wars, going on to busking, moving on to reality TV, and
Quiz shows.
and then ending on quiz shows. So it was a good eclectic subject matter. Hopefully, we'll have some new guests on in the coming weeks. But apart from that, I've been Matt Geary. With me tonight has been Jonjo Cosgrove.
See you all later, guys.
And Mark Canty.
I do remember how to speak. Don't worry.
Oh, and Jonjo, what's the name of the podcast again?
All Things Suck.
All Things Suck, and it's on Spotify and all the other places.
Spotify. It's going to be on iTunes at some point, and but Spotify I think is the main one at the moment that you can get on.
All right, give it a listen, everybody, and good night.